Hello and welcome to Cricket House Gaming. Here at Cricket House Gaming, we like to explore the gameplay of simulation games, usually through a series of Let's Plays. In this episode, we continue to explore the gameplay of Democracy 4. Democracy 4 is a political sim that lets you choose the role of a world leader and govern a country. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that like button, and if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. Today, we're going to continue to explore our gameplay as Prime Minister of Canada. We are presently in our fourth term as Prime Minister of Canada. When I hit that button, we will be entering the first term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Fracking. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. Hydraulic fracturing, better known as fracking, is a drilling technique that allows energy companies to exploit previously unreachable deposits of shale gas. The technique is relatively new and requires government to give permission to use. On one hand, it opens up potentially huge supplies of energy. On the other hand, there are serious environmental concerns about the process. This bill will give the go-ahead to energy companies to carry out commercial-level fracking operations on our soil. This is great news for consumers as it will drive energy prices down and will reduce our dependence on foreign imports of oil and gas. Plus, it will be a boost for the economy. What's not to like? Ban fracking. Fracking poses a number of dangers, not the least the possibility that is linked with earthquakes and the very real danger of contaminating the water supply, as it involves pumping huge quantities of dangerous chemicals into the rock at very high pressures. Plus, this is just another way to perpetrate our reliance on the ever-dwindling supplies of climate-damaging fossil fuels. We're going to ban fracking as our government is trying to move away from its dependence on fossil fuel. Ban fracking. The environmentalists are happy at +6%. The capitalists are unhappy at -5%. Situation imminent. Our data is showing that we have a potentially bad situation. Luddite riots on our hands if we do not act soon. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a C. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Polls report. Polls do not look good. Our last poll put us at 20% of the vote in an election. Economic forecast. Good news, the global economy is doing well and this is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. Loyalty of your ministers can best be described as fanatical. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. We have 28 political capital to spend because we are in the middle of a debt crisis and we are being granted emergency powers. Compulsory language lessons. Some people just can't be bothered to learn languages of their own in order to improve their chances on the job market, to understand other people from different nations. Compulsory language lessons will force these people to deal with the world outside, improve our attitude to foreign visitors, and enable us to better deal with foreign companies whilst giving us a greater understanding of other cultures. This will reduce racial tensions. This will improve foreign relations. This will improve immigration demand. This will improve international trade. This will lower the Patriots' view of us, and this will improve education. Let us implement this policy. We will increase it slightly. We will apply the changes. We have 4 political capital to spend. The compulsory wearing of body cameras by law enforcement workers is a way to ensure those workers stick to the law themselves and act in a respectful and honorable way when engaging with members of the public. Without cameras, corruption and bullying complaints against the police are not so easily dealt with. This is 83% popular with the vote. We will use 4 political capital to increase this. This will lower corruption and racial tension. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our first term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the 2nd term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Delivery drones. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. An international retailer wants to introduce delivery of shipments by autonomous cargo quadricopters. General public is excited by this prospect, but trade unionists are highly critical, predicting job losses and accidents. The retailer requested permission to start a pilot project, and current legislature does not cover commercial drones. Allow delivery drones. A pilot program will not offer drone delivery to customers just from one depot to the next. Technology is safe enough to allow that. Disallow delivery drones. With police drones and military drones, public airspace is already getting crowded. Private drones would unnecessarily increase the risk of a drone-related accident. Allow limited trials. Let's not run into this. Maybe it's best just to allow some limited trial for a year or two to see what happens. We are going to allow limited trial. The trade unionists are unhappy at -3%. The capitalists are happy at +2%. Traffic congestion increases at +3%. Campaign speeches available. Election draws near and you may want to take some time out of government to hold campaign rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. International credit rating agency Agency rates our government as a C. This is a bad sign and is pushing up the rate of interest we pay on our debt. We must address this. Polls report the government is not popular amongst its citizens. Only 20% of them intend to vote for you in the next election. Economic forecast. Good news. The global economy is doing well and this is having a positive effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as fanatical. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. We have 28 political capital to spend. Let's give a speech. We're going to give a speech targeted toward the wealthy. We're going to give a speech targeted toward the conservatives. And we're going to give a speech targeted towards the capitalists. Let us give our speech. The speech seems to be going well. The wealthy are ecstatic with this speech. And we're getting a lukewarm reception with the speech for the conservatives. The capitalist view of us increases at plus 5%. The socialist view goes down at negative 10%. The wealthy's view of us improves at plus 15%. The poor's view of us goes down at negative 5%. Conservatives' view of us improves at plus 5%. And the liberals' view of us goes down at negative 10%. We have 19 political capital to spend. We're going to implement tax shelters. By not fully taxing the wealth of super rich, tax shelters can be a great way to encourage successful entrepreneurs to make our country their home. With an ever-shrinking world, the rich are free to settle wherever they please. Encouraging them to live here may mean that they spend their wealth in this country. Such measures can be very unpopular with the poor who resent paying tax on their much lowered earnings. This will increase the GDP. This will lower our brain drain. This will lower foreign relations. This will lower equality. This will increase the wealthy. This is 97% popular with the vote. We're going to implement this policy. I'm concerned about the GDP. We are going to increase it to high. We will apply the changes. We have 6 political capital to spend. Robotics research grants, a special grant to encourage the research in robotics. Robotics are a very long-term area of research which will eventually bring about vast boosts in productivity, but at the same time will reduce the amount of low or semi-skilled jobs in the economy and thus potentially lead to higher unemployment. This is 0% popular with the vote. We are going to spend 1 political capital and raise this slightly. We will apply the changes. We have 5 political capital to spend. Compulsory language lessons. Some people just can't be bothered to learn languages of their own in order to improve their chances on the job market or understand other people from different nations. Compulsory language lessons will force these people to deal with the world outside, improve our attitudes to foreign visitors, and enable us to deal better with foreign companies whilst giving us greater understanding of other cultures. This will increase our foreign relations. This will improve our international trade. This will increase immigration demand. This will lower the patriots' view of us. This will lower racial tension. We will invest 3 political capital to increase this to high. We will apply the changes. We have 2 political capital to spend. School vouchers, a measure designed to encourage the growth of private schooling while enabling everyone to afford an education. School vouchers are issued by the state to parents for each child, which they can spend on private sector of education. This is a different approach from pure state schooling because with school vouchers, the schools are privately run and the teachers are no longer state employees. This is 100% popular with the vote. We will use 2 political capital to increase this. This will increase private schooling. This will improve the capitalist views of us. Let us apply the changes. 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our 2nd term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the 3rd term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Black Lives Matter. After a high-profile police arrest where a person of color was killed, a wave of anger about racial inequality has swept across our nation. Racial tension increases at plus 14%. Liberalism increases at plus 10%. Campaign speeches are available. The election draws near and you may want to take some time out from government to hold a campaign rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. International Credit Rating Agency rates our government as a C. This is a bad sign and is pushing up the rate of interest we pay on our debt. We must address this. Polls report. Your approval rating is disappointing. If we believe the polls, you would get just 28% of the vote. Election report. Election is drawing near. We currently have 1,572,352 members of the Radical Reform Party. The opposition party has more members than us. Citizen Alliance, the opposition, has more members than us. They have 31%. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as fanatical. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. We have 28 political capital to spend. Let's deliver a speech. Capitalist happiness is 46%. Let's give a speech for the capitalists. The conservatives' happiness with us is 20%. Let's give a speech with the conservatives. The self-employed happiness with us is 51%. Let's give a speech with the self-employed. The capitalists are very happy with this speech. The self-employed seem very happy with this speech. And the conservatives seem to be better with this speech. The capitalist view of us is plus 15%. The socialist view of us goes down at negative 10%. The self-employed view of us goes up at 10%. And the trade unionists go down at negative 10%. The conservatives view of us goes up plus 5%. And the liberal view of us goes down at negative 5%. We have 19 political capital to spend. Gambling. To some, gambling is a sin which leads to poverty and disasters. But others believe that some social gambling is harmless fun, which can also be taxed nicely by the government as an additional form of revenue. It also encourages tourism and creates jobs. This is 91% popular with the vote. Right now we have an age limit on gambling. We will invest 11 political capital. There will be no stakes limit. The religious will be unhappy with us. The GDP will increase slightly. Unemployment will be reduced slightly. And tourism will increase slightly. And the capitalist view of us will increase slightly. Let us apply the changes. We have 8 political capital to spend. Marriage tax allowance. This is a tax break for married couples given as an encouragement for all people to marry and also to stick together. Church groups see this as essential that the state encourages traditional family values. Some see it as religion meddling in the tax system for no good reason. This is 100% popular with the vote. We will spend 4 political capital to increase this. We will apply the changes. We have 4 political capital to spend. Mortgage tax relief. This allows people to claim tax relief on interest payments they have to make when they borrow money to buy a house. This helps home buyers to afford their mortgage payments but can be resented by those who are not in a position to buy a house, as this effectively is a tax break for home buyers. We are going to use 3 political capital. We will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital to spend. Alcohol awareness campaign. Alcohol can be dangerous, even in moderation. To raise awareness of that, this campaign will show the trouble that alcohol can get you into, from ruined friendships over accidents and addiction to sickness and death. Certainly not a happy topic, but it's always better to have your mood dampened a little now and stay sober than to suffer big time later. This is 50% popular with the vote. We're going to lower this and save some money that the government spends in this campaign to about medium. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend, and thus we are at the end of our 3rd term, of our 5th year, of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the 4th term of our 5th year, of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's see how we did. Nuclear test ban treaty. There is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. The United Nations is pushing for your country to sign a treaty that would ban us from carrying out any nuclear weapons tests for research purposes. Other nations have already signed the treaty and are pressuring us to sign through diplomatic channels. Sign the treaty. We have no real need to carry out further tests. It's not like the current generation of weapons do not work or are not powerful enough. Signing the treaty will keep environmental campaigners happy and will raise our popularity on the international stage. Do not sign the treaty. It's vital that we retain the right to carry out limited testing. We live in a dangerous world and our nuclear deterrent is vital to our defense. It's not for other nations to tell us how to defend ourselves. Besides, testing is required to ensure our weapons still remain usable. We're going to sign the treaty. The patriots are unhappy with us at negative 3%. Environmentalists are happy at plus 6%. Foreign relations improves at plus 5%. Luddite riots. A new manifesto published on a trade union related website calls for widespread civil unrest directed at the increasing levels of automation. Manifesto promises available. The election is upon us and we might want to take opportunity to improve our support by making manifesto promises to the electorate. We will not be making manifesto promises to the electorate. Campaign speeches are available. The election draws near and you may want to take some time off from government to hold a campaign rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. International Credit Rating Agency rates our government as a C. This is a bad sign and is pushing up the rate of interest we pay on our debt. We must address this. Polls report. Polls do not look good. Our last poll put us at 29% of the vote in an election. Election report. Election draws near. We currently have 1,546,550 members of the Radical Reform Party. The opposition party has more members than us. They have 30% now. They are down 1% from last quarter. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as fanatical. Their effectiveness is generally considered to be adequate. We have 29 political capital to spend. Let's give some campaign speeches. We're going to give one for the wealthy. We're going to give one for the conservatives. And we're going to give one for the patriots. The wealthy likes his speech. The conservatives are giving us a lukewarm reception for this speech. The Patriots seem to be about middle of the road with this speech. The wealthy's view of us improves at plus 15%. The poor's view of us goes down at negative 5%. The conservatives' view of us goes up at plus 5%. The liberals' view of us goes down at negative 5%. And the Patriots' view of us goes up at plus 5%. We have 20 political capital to spend. Brain drain. Our tax system is encouraging the best and brightest entrepreneurs to leave the country altogether and make money elsewhere. As a result, we are losing out both on their knowledge and skills and also the potential tax revenue from them and their companies. This may be a sign that we are overtaxing the wealthy and successful. Income tax. One of the most popular ways to raise money for the government is a direct tax on people's earnings deducted at the source by their employer. Income tax is generally a progressive tax. The wealthy pay more as a fraction of the income than the poor, and for this reason it is popular with socialists and the low paid. We are going to reduce the income tax slightly. We're going to use 2 political capital. This will improve our GDP. This will help out the middle income. This will help the wealthy out a lot. We will apply the changes. We have 18 political capital to spend. We're going to increase the petrol tax. Taxing fuel can be a huge source of income for the government and can also be seen as a green policy by encouraging people to drive less or to use more fuel-efficient cars. Critics suggest that this is just another cynical tax on the motorists, and some complain that the alternative public transportation is not a viable option for everyone. This is 79% popular with the vote. We are going to use 11 political capital and increase this. The motorists will not be happy with this. The environmentalists will be happy with this. We will apply the changes. We have 7 political capital to spend. Automation tax. Technological innovation has led to brilliant invention. The dark side of industrial automation is that it is leading to job loss. Less jobs mean less income tax. To make up for loss in state income, the Income Ministry has designed an automation tax to be paid by the most advanced companies. This is 3% popular with the vote. This will lower capitalism. This will increase the trade unionists. This will lower industrial automation. This will increase brain drain. This will lower technology. Let us implement this. We are going to lower this slightly to 30%. We will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital to spend. Tobacco awareness campaign. Governments have long known the terrible harm that smoking does to its citizens' health, but getting them to kick the habit is harder than it sounds. A trade-off has to be made between reducing the impact on the nation's health services versus any tax revenue that smoking brings in. This is 50% popular with the vote. We're going to lower the amount of money that the government invests in the tobacco awareness campaign and get back a little bit of money for our government. We will spend 1 political capital. We will apply the changes. We have 0 political capital to spend. Thus, we are at the end of our 4th term of our 5th year of our 4th term as Prime Minister of Canada. Let's hit that button. We are getting ready for the election. Let us start the count. We were voted out of office as Prime Minister of Canada. The Radical Reform Party got 22.8% of the vote. The Citizens Alliance got 45.8% of the vote. The Civil Rights League got 8.3% of the vote. And there were 23.1% non-voters. And we are going to end this episode as we retire to obscurity. Next week, we'll be starting with a new country, so I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for stopping by our Cricket House. If you like what you saw, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to follow our future episodes. It really helps us out. Have a great week. See you soon.